أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمد الوسيلة والفضيلة وبعثهم الله مكرمكم الذي وعدت إنك لا تخلف الميعاد.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ومن يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يهدي الله هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا واتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا واتقوا الله قولا سديدا يصلح لكم ويغفر لكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يهد الله ورسوله فقد فوزا عظيما ثم أما بعد. All praise and thanks be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him and we seek His help. We seek protection from the evils of ourselves and the bad results of our actions. Whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides right, no man can lead astray. And whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leads astray, no man can guide right. And I openly bear witness that there is none worthy of worship except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi is His slave, servant, and messenger. Oh, you who believe. Fear Allah Ta'ala as He should be feared and die not accepting the state of Al-Islam as Muslim. O mankind, be dutiful to your Lord who created you from a single person, Adam alayhi wa salatu wa salam, and from him He created many men and women. Fear Allah and do not cut off the ties of kinship. He, Allah, will put your deeds in the right state for you, forgive you your sins, your faults, and whoever follows Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has indeed achieved a great success. Verily the finest of speech is the speech of Allah Ta'ala in the Quran. And the best of guidance is the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the worst of affairs are no doubt the newly invented matters. Verily, every newly invented matter is an innovation. For every innovation is a misguidance. And for every misguidance is the blazing fire. May Allah protect us from that. Ameen. And what is to proceed? Allah tells us in Surah At-Tahrim, He tells us to save ourselves and our families from the fire. He tells us about the angels that are stern and they fulfill the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In a hadith narrated by Ibn Umar, radiallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, all of you are guardians and are responsible for your wards. The ruler is a guardian, and the man is a guardian of his family, and the lady is a guardian and responsible for her husband's house and his offspring. And so all of you are guardians and responsible for your wards. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, الرجال قوامون على النساء بما خضم الله بعدهم على بعض وبما. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in this verse that the man is the maintainer and protector of the women because he is a degree above her, right? Not as a thing of pride to walk around with and smack the women around with it, but to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will call her on the day of judgment and say, did he fulfill his obligations? So what am I speaking about today? Inshallah, it's my intention to speak about our children. Our children. And in any corporation or any organization, if there's a problem, you can always look at the top. Even if he's not the problem, he should know where it happened at. Where did the problem arise? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that the man is the top of the family. First is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then is the husband, the man. Yet, in the masjids across America, we are missing a group of young shabab, the young people. We're missing a group that is about when you start to be able to move out on your own, where you be able to drive, and from the 16 to the 30-year-olds, and even above that, and even younger than that, they are missing from the masajid. Why? Because there's a disconnect. And we, the men, the adults, the men and the women, we have to address this issue. We have to find out what the problem is and why it is. Because Allah tells us that we are the maintainers and protectors of the women. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that we are in charge of those who are under us. The essence of this, we're going to need sabrun jameel, a beautiful patience. Because this life is a toiling, right? لا أخصموا بهذا البلد وأنت هلون بهذا البلد وولد وما ولد لقد كالنا الإنسان في قبد. This world is a toiling, and it is a test. And children are a test, and our wives are a test. And life itself is a test, and death is a test. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Allah gives us these answers before we even get the test. If we look in the Quran, in a story of in the surah Joseph, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about a prophet, Jacob alayhi wassalatu wassalam, and how he had both righteous, good children, Joseph, and he had wicked children, who the best of them said, let's not kill him, let's throw him down in the well. And if we look deeper, Nuh alayhi wassalatu wassalam, a prophet, had a son who was bent on wickedness, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had to drown him and condemned Noah alayhi wassalatu wassalam for asking about him. If we read Surah Kaf, right? Surah 18, we find that when Musa and Khidr got off the boat, Khidr came to a young shabab, a young child, and killed him. Moses said, oh, you just did a great evil deed. What happened? Why did you do this? He said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed me to kill this young man because he was going to be disobedient and oppress his mother and father. On the contrary, we find that Ibrahim alayhi wassalatu wassalam, Khalilullah, the friend of Allah, his father was a mushrikun. He was a polytheist. And he was very harsh against Tawheed. He was a great fighter against Tawheed. He kicked him out, Abraham. He kicked him out. He made him homeless. And we know that Musa alayhi wassalatu wassalam, his stepfather was none other than Pharaoh. He was raised in the house of Pharaoh. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gave him a title. He was the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to. So what I'm trying to say in this whole mix is that mankind is very topsy-turvy. The best thing we can do is take the advice of Rasulullah, take the advice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save our children and ourselves and our wives and our community from the fire. Allah says about mankind, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَصَّوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَصَّوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. In the passage of time through the ages, verily mankind is in loss, except those who do righteous deeds, are steadfast in prayer, and join in the mutual teachings of truth, patience, and constancy. So these people are in loss. You know, we are in loss. We are included of those who are in loss, you know, except when we do these things, right? So how do we bring our youth back to Al-Islam? How do we make our women folk, the old and the young, love the clothing of the women of our days, you know? The Sahaba's wives, and so forth and so on. How do we make them love it? Not just when they come to the Masjid, you know, not from the cultures, but from what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. How do we make them love it? How do we get the children back into the Masjid? Because they want to be here, right? How do we get our children to be okay with the fact that they have the best prophet, you know? They have the best miracle, the Quran, right? They have the opportunity to Jannah, you know, because they don't associate partners with Allah. And be comfortable with the fact that when you're celebrating Christmas and Halloween and Valentine's Day and all of that, you don't feel no kind of way. Say, alhamdulillah, you go ahead and celebrate it. We're not into that. Instead, our children are looking like, wow, we can't do it. Dad, I can't have no candy. No, that's from kufr. Why would you want that candy? You know what that's about? You know? So how do we do that? I believe that it starts off with marriage. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَن تَقُومْ عَلَى مَا مِنْتُمَّ الصَّالِحِينَ مِنْ عِبَادِكُمْ وَإِمَائِكُمْ إِن يَقُولُوا فُقَرَاءُ يُغْنِهِمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ وَاللَّهُ عَاسِيٌّ عَلِيمٌ. Allah said in this verse, a commandment, marry those amongst you who are righteous, and marry your slaves to the righteous each other. And if you're worried about falus, money, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best provider, right? And we know that marriage is half of your deen. So I believe it starts with marriage. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he broke it down in a very simple term to prioritize who to marry and how to marry. He said you can marry for 4 reasons. You can marry for wealth, beauty, family lineage, or deen. Marry the religious woman or be a loser. Yet, most of us, we marry beautiful women. That's what we're looking for. Once we find out how beautiful she is, then we wonder, oh, how's her deen? We marry for family lineage because this is my tribe, we marry in this tribe. We don't marry outside of this tribe. Again, tribalism, which Rasulullah said is under his feet. This is done. This is done with, right? In the same instance, on the flip side of that, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, If there comes to you one whose religious commitment and his attitude pleases you, marry your women to him, or there will be much fitna and fasad on the earth. Is there not fitna and fasad on the earth right now? In Al-Islam, the same things that we look outside of Al-Islam and say, oh wow, they do drugs. Guess what? In Al-Islam, they do drugs. When you look outside of Al-Islam, you say, oh look, homosexuality. I thought we learned about that in the time of Lut. Inside of Al-Islam, guess what? Homosexuality. All of the sins that are there are here. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us so much in the Quran about the Jews and the Christians. Why? Is it because they're so wretched and so terrible? Or is it for you who has a chance? We have a chance. And we need to give that chance to our children. How do we do it? So, we marry as when the marriage is done. We know this is done as the person who was officiating the marriage. He says to the husband, he says, now say to the groom, I want to marry this woman under your care, under the Quran and the Sunnah and the wali. He says, and I accept you. I accept your proposal to marry the woman under my care, under the Quran and the Sunnah. Deen first. We're in the house dancing, listening to music. We got everything except for deen. You know, even if it's the case where the husband and the wife are practicing the deen, you find that the children are not a part of that sometimes. Where are the children at? When you're making your 5 salawat for whatever reason in the household, you know, where are the children at? Are you calling them to the deen? Are you calling them to salawat? The Prophet ﷺ tells us to marry those who are loving and fertile. For I'll be proud of your great number before this nation. So after marriage, the first thing we should be thinking about is building this nation, having children, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about Ibrahim in Surah 37, As-Safat, ayat 100. Allah says, my Lord, grant me offspring from the righteous. So we gave him the glad tidings of a forbearing son. And when his son was old enough to walk with him, he said, oh my son, I have seen in a dream that I am slaughtering you, offering you in sacrifice to Allah. So look what you think. He said, my father, do that which he has commanded you. Inshallah, you will find me to be a sabiri, of the patient. You see what happens when deen is the first thing, even your child is on page with you. And if we look at the hadiths about that, we know that Hajar was also okay with that. She was fine with the fact that Ibrahim had to leave her in the valley of Mecca. She said, are you leaving me because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed? He said, yes, well then Allah will take care of me. And when the shaitan went to her and said, you know, Ibrahim is going to sacrifice his son, he said, well, if Allah instructed him, then it's okay with it. This is when deen comes first, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about his slave Zachariah, where he said in Surah Maryam, Surah 19, he said, this is a mention of the mercy of your Lord to his slave Zachariah. When he called out to his Lord in secret, he said, my Lord, indeed my bones have grown feeble, and my gray hairs have spread over my head. And I have never been unblessed in my invocation, O Lord. And verily, I fear my relatives after me, and my wife is barren. So give me from yourself an heir, who shall inherit from me, and inherit also the prosperity of Jacob, inheritance of the religious knowledge, because prophets don't leave wealth. And make him, my Lord, one of whom you are well pleased with. Allah said, O Zachariah, verily, we give you the glad tidings of a son, whose name will be Yahya, John. We have given that name to none other before him. He said, O my Lord, how can I have a son when my wife is barren, and I have reached the extreme old age? He said, so it will be. Your Lord says, and it's easy for me. Certainly, I have created you before when you had been nothing. Narrated Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells us about Sulaiman alayhi wa salatu wa salam, where he said that he will go to 199 of his wives to have righteous, good people to fight in the cause of Allah from each one of them. It is said that one of the companions told him to say inshallah, but for whatever reason he didn't say inshallah. And as a result of it, he had, out of all of that, he had one child who was a half a child. In other words, he had some sort of deformity. Right? And Rasulullah said, had he said inshallah, he would have had a child from each one of them, fighting in the cause of Allah. Now let's not look down on Solomon alayhi wa salatu wa salam. First and foremost, the Sharia, the law, was different. He could have 100 wives. He could. Just like Rasulullah could have 13. But we can have 4. The Sharia is different. In addition to that, don't look down on him for not saying inshallah. Even Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forgets to say inshallah at times. When the 3 people came to him asking him those questions, and he said, I'll give you the answer tomorrow, without saying inshallah, and the angel did not come down. Right? So let's not look down on this Prophet alayhi wa salatu wa salam. In Surah Ali Imran, ayat 36, it says, and when she gave birth to her child Maryam, she said, oh my Lord, I have given birth to a female child. And Allah knows better what she brought forth. And the male is not like the female. And I have named her Mary. And I seek refuge with you, Allah, from her offspring of the shaitan and the outcast. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us about this ayat, about Maryam and her son Isa ibn Maryam, that we should say this dua. That means, in the name of Allah, oh Allah, protect me from shaitan, and protect from shaitan what you have bestowed upon us, meaning our offspring. Right? So this is a dua we should say before we go to our wives. These things will help us to at least try to have a righteous, good child. And there's no guarantees, because these prophets had wretched children. You know, again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test you with what you love. And narrated Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he relates that the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a Muslim male or female remains subject to trials and until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls him back. Meaning that the trials and tribulations, again, mankind is created in qabat, in toiling. When Allah loves you, He puts you through trial. He puts you through hardship. And believe me, raising these children, raising these family is a trial. If you don't believe me, go pick up their cell phone that you bought. You probably don't have the passcode to it. If you ask them for the passcode to their phone and you scroll up, you might see something that you're surprised to see. Look at what they're looking at on YouTube. You know, our children are posting themselves on YouTube. They don't know the ramifications of it. They don't know what they're sending out. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, what we send out before us. Why? Because we're so busy working. We're so busy working. We think that that's our job, to provide money. When the children won't remember money, but they will remember the time that you spent with them. So, if we raise our children according to the deen, according to the Quran and the Sunnah, then they will have a different outlook. If we don't, they will be just like a Jewish little boy, or a Christian little boy, or a pagan, or one who doesn't worship God at all. They don't raise their children on anything. When you ask them, what do you say about a homeless person, for instance? They say, like Rasulullah said, he told us about a hadith where he said, if they ask for your daughter's hand in marriage, you won't give it to them. If they talk, you don't listen. And if they ask for something, you won't give it. In other words, they're turned out. But if you give them the eyes of the Quran, they will say, well, I don't know, you know. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about Ibrahim alayhi wa salatu wa salam. He was homeless. He was homeless, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him his best friend. Right? On the flip side of that, if you don't teach our children about deen, if they don't look at the world through the eyes of deen, right? If they don't look at the TV through deen, if they don't look at what they see out in school through deen, then they're going to be like every other little shabab, right? You ask them about a rich person. Oh, well, hey, listen, we all want to be rich. As they watch TV, they love the rich people. They think that rich is great. But Rasulullah said that poor man is so many times better than that rich man. And we know that the rich people who enter paradise last, they got a lot to answer for. Why did you spend it like that? What did you buy that for? Was there any pride in that when you bought that? What was the reason why you spent that? Not to mention, Pharaoh, the Pharaoh, was so rich that he said, build my house up to the sky, to the heavens. He was very rich. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called him an enemy. This is the reason why we must give our children deen. They must have Quran so that they know how to look at things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, in the second half I'll continue. Inshallah, we beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for where we fall short in raising our children. قولي هذا واستغفر الله ولي ولكم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين النبي أمتي وعلى آله وصحبه وأجمعين ثم أما بعد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a verse in the Quran which sums up everything that we have from our children from the time they're in the womb till the time they grow up. And this is what we hope for. This is what we're praying for. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ قَرْحًا وَوَضَعَتْهُ كُرْحًا وحمله وبصاله 3 شهرا حتى إذا بلغ أشده وبلغ 20 سنة قال ربي أرزقني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي وأن أعمل صالحا ترضى ويصلح لي في ذريتي إني تبت إليك وإني من المسلمين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this verse, and we have enjoined on man to be dutiful and kind to his parents. His mother bears him with hardship, and she brings him forth with hardship, and the bearing of him and the weaning of him is 30 months, till when he attains full strength, and he reaches 40. He reaches full 40 years. He says, my Lord, grant me the power and the ability that I may be grateful for your favor which you have bestowed upon me and upon my parents, and that I may be righteous, that I may do righteous deeds, such as please you, and make my offspring good. Truly, I have turned to you in repentance, and truly I am one of the Muslims. Inshallah, that's what we hope for. As we flip through the Quran, we find so many beautiful du'as that we need to get them. We need to put them in our pocket because we need these du'as. The best of speech, they call this the keys that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already accepted. So get the key. Instead of reinventing the wheel, get that key. Narrated Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, 7 people will be shaded by Allah under the shade on the day of resurrection, where there will be no shade except his. They are: 1, a just ruler; 2, a young man who has been brought up in the worship of Allah sincerely from childhood; a man whose heart was attached to the masjid; 4, 2 persons who love each other solely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala; 5, a man who refuses the call of a charming woman with noble birth for illegal sexual intercourse. He says that I'm afraid of Allah. 6, a person who practices charity so much so that his right hand doesn't know what his left hand is giving. And 7, the one who remembers Allah in seclusion and his eyes are flooded with tears. So this is what we're trying to give to our children. You know, it happens from what we do. How is this implemented? This is implemented by keeping your children by your, first and foremost is implemented by amilu salihat. You know, having faith and righteous good deeds. Because if you don't have it, how you expect your children to have it? You know, if you're not making all 5 of your prayers, how you expect your children to make all 5 of their prayers? And what's worse than that is when you die, if you don't do it, when you die, you have no one to make sajda for you. People will remember you for a time. You know, people will remember you for a time, and then you will fade away. Everything that you brought forth will fade away. Right? But if you have righteous, good children, then at least we know that you have somebody that will pray for you. And inshallah ta'ala, they will tell their children about you and their grandchildren about you. And they will continue to pray for you. And you'll be in the grave saying, Ya Allah, where did these good deeds come from? Sadaqatun jariyah. You had a righteous, good child. Inshallah. Inshallah, I won't pull this thing out too long. I think I made my point, inshallah. I'll close out with one thing. The salah. One of the last things that Rasulullah ﷺ said, even in his weakness of his death, when he could barely move, he couldn't go out to the masajid at all. He said, the salah. Hold on to this salah. And we found that Rasulullah ﷺ told us about the salah. Again, if you are righteous and good, and you are practicing the deen the way you should practice it, right? Then you'll be making the salah. Have you ever seen a little baby just prostrating because they see their parents prostrating? Have you ever seen a little girl just grabbing her hijab and all? She's grabbing her stuff. She's playing dress up. Not because you told her to, because that's what she sees happening around her, right? Have you ever seen the child just walking around every time they see somebody in hijab or with a kufi on? Assalamu alaikum, assalamu alaikum. You know, and it brightens the face of the person who hears that. Wow, that little child just said assalamu alaikum to me. Wow. You know, the father, he's too busy living life, you know, being stern. He can't give me salam, but the child gave me salam. It brightens up their day. But Rasulullah says, call your children to salah at the age of 7. Not to mean you weren't calling them all the rest of the time. And if they have a difficult time, hit them lightly about it at the age of 10. And separate the beds, right, at that age. This is just an example. This is just an example of some of the things that we can do. Of course, this is a major, big topic. They are the rights of the children. One of the greatest rights of the children, that he has righteous, good parents, right? And they are the rights of the parents. That's a whole nother speech. Alhamdulillah, this is a day of, like, you know, where the children aren't really here that much. We don't have too many children here, so I figured I would save that for another day. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless us. Accept our dua. Accept our deeds. رَبَّنَا أَتِينَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ سُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ وَبِحَمْدِهِ وَأَدْقَ خَلْقِهِ وَرِيدَ وَنَفْسِهِ وَسِنَةُ وَعَرْشِهِ وَمِدَادَ كَلِمَاتِهِ سُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ وَبِحَمْدِهِ وَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ الْعَظِيمِ لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له لا حول ولا قوة لا حول ولا حمد له ولا كل شيء قدير. إن شاء الله قيم السلام.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Inshallah, we'll tighten these ranks. We'll pray this prayer as if we won't be here for the next, inshallah, with khushu'. Bismillah. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم
غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Just a couple of minutes for a quick announcement. First, Jazakallah, Brother Kamli, for the beautiful reminder of the time that we need to be spending with our children. The second announcement I wanted to make, it's actually a missed opportunity. We had a few people that went to Hajj this year and they came back, but unfortunately they have returned back to their home countries. We have one brother still here, Brother Siddiqui, Sufyan Siddiqui, so hopefully inshallah we'll get to sit down with him and listen to his experiences when we get the chance. But please do remember all the Hajjis that made it back safely. Remember them in your du'as, but inshallah next time when we get the chance, we will find the time and get together and listen to their experiences. Hopefully that will put a light in our hearts so that we also would have the love to go and do our Hajj, inshallah. The second is Sunday school is coming this Sunday, September 9th. We will be gathering here at 10 a.m. in the morning, and it will go till Dhuhr. If you still have children that you need to register, please do. Registration is available, is still available. Many of the sisters, including Brother Tabitha here, we all volunteer our time to spend time with the children in Sunday school. And like Brother Kwame said, we built many beautiful memories with these children. These children teach us quite a bit when we are trying to share some of the knowledge with them as well. And they're, mashallah, very beautiful children. But please do remember, September 9th, this coming Sunday at 10 a.m. And don't forget the sadaqah boxes on your way out. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Waalaikum salam. Humble. A smile or to my face. When I see you. Thank you. Thank you. Mashallah.